have to restart. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
But we're live now.
Oh,
There's too many
nice.
buttons with OBS and YouTube. Like I said, it's been a pain to figure out, but I'm 99% sure we're actually live now. Uh, my name is Hayden. I'm joined by Richard. This is in the Clubhouse, episode 25. We are live. Let's go. Perfect. I love when things work the way they're supposed to. We're talking about some 2024 Nationals baseball. This is all over the place now. I am so sorry.
It's okay.
Let's
Let's
talk
go.
about let's talk about some 2024 Nationals baseball. Let's start with these team expectations before when we were actually going, but not actually going. We were talking about. I think the Nats are going to be in the bottom, in the cellar of the NL
hmm
East, and you were talking about some things that you'd want them to see to help them kind of get out of that cellar this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think prospects. Watching, Woods, Cruz, all those great prospects that we've been kind of developing over the past couple years, and adding to the roster and the farm system. I'm really excited to see them develop even further this year, and definitely hopefully make the majors at some point during the year. I agree with you on the. It would be really great to see Woods and who else did you mention?
Dylan Cruz. I think they should both be on the opening day roster.
Opening day roster.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
yeah, no. Basically, the only reason why I keep saying this is because of that prospect promotion incentive that we saw the Mariners use to get an extra pick after the first round, and we're about to. Well, the Diamondbacks and the Orioles just did it as well when Gunnar
Mm-hmm.
Henderson and Corbin Carroll won Rookie of the Year. Uh, if those guys are on the roster from opening day to the rest of the season, that's a first round, and they win Rookie of the Year. Obviously, it's a tall task. Uh,
Yeah,
but the Nats get an extra pick, which further helps that rebuild.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And with that too, I mean, there's a bunch of different uh, ways that even if they don't succeed, you can send them back down for a month and a half and regain that extra year of team control.
Well,
So it's there's really no losing scenario. I don't think that a month and a half of struggling at the major league level
hmm
necessarily dooms these prospects and ruins their development forever. Uh, and so it's kind of just like a no-brainer to have them on that opening day roster. But then again, it was also there's been things that were no-brainers before that haven't been done. Uh,
yeah. I bet, like, definitely having Cruz and Wood, and opening day and starting off the season would put some butts in the seats at Nats Park.
oh
I
yeah,
can tell you that much.
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm sure a
No.
lot of people would be really excited to see that. And now that they have that futures game happening, like what, a couple of days before opening
hmm
day, wouldn't be such a bad, easy flight
They don't even have to
to
go anywhere. They're just right there,
right, right there. Exactly. Yeah. Prospects are going to be a lot of fun. I really think that the Nats are going to be really fun to watch at the minor league level to, see how these all the prospects that they've been they traded for or drafted really kind of like develop and make their way up to the majors. But just watching them, I love the enthusiasm that they're showing at the minor league level. I wrote the other a couple weeks ago about crafting that team identity. I think that's also like really important for the team, really coming out and figuring out who they are, opposed to this over the last couple of years. And tell me if you agree or disagree, Jeremy, but like I mean Hayden, excuse me.
You're
Whoop.
all good.
um I feel that there hasn't been that really team identity over the last couple of years, and they've really, I think that's really an important thing that they need to like develop moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think this year we saw that identity show.
hmm
Is it the best identity? Uh, Probably not. But they have that identity, and that was something that Jeremy and I talk a lot on here, where
hmm
especially like when you look around the league, that's one of the few things that really stick out about a Dave V. Martinez run team, where sure you disagree with the way he manages the game, but
Yeah.
this team does not give up, and it never gives up. And I think that's the scrappy Nats, like we were calling them in the summer. I think they're
Hmm.
always kind of that. Obviously, I'd like to see our scrappy Nats gain a little bit of extra strength, so hit some balls over the fences a little bit more, hit for extra bases, take our walks a little bit more, because that just tends to lead to more success. Uh, but I think they do have that identity. Yeah.
Who do you like? I know we're talking about prospects, so what about the position players that are currently on the team?
Hmm.
You know, what about like who do you feel is a good fit for first base? I think that's like the biggest question that a lot of people have about this team going into 2024.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now with the way the roster is constructed, adding
Hmm.
another player is really hard.
Mm.
Where there's not really room for anybody else, uh, especially if this is me under the assumption that Dylan Cruz and James Wood are on the opening day roster or going to be on the roster
Okay.
early within the season. There's not room for anybody because I mean you're gonna have five outfielders because Lane Thomas is going to be in the big leagues.
Yeah.
Stone Garrett's going to be in the big leagues. Uh,
Okay.
Obviously, James Wood, Dylan Cruz. You got four right there. And I think Jacob Young showed enough where I think he deserves to be in the big leagues. I think
Okay.
Victor Robles should start the year in AAA. That's kind of a hot take, but I think he should start the year in AAA.
I
I
agree.
I agree with keeping him on the 40-man roster. The first person I would cut in that outfield mix would be Alex Call. Uh, and then you look at that infield. I mean, you already got CJ. You've already got Luis Garcia, Nick Senzel, uh, and then at first base, I mean Joey seems like the likeliest fit. Something that I've been again screaming from the rooftops.
Uh-huh.
Stone Garrett should go play first base.
Ooh.
I don't know how you feel
Make
about
your
that.
make your case.
Well, I mean he right now with the way with I mean how many outfielders are coming up. Robert Hassel the third, if he gets right, we're having even more outfielders, and I think he showed enough where he's a valuable bat to have on a roster, on a
Hmm.
good team. And there's not really out bats to give in the outfield. So why not first base? Where there's really nothing. The next, like, kind of the closest thing to a prospect, third base or first base prospect that we have in the system is going to be Yohandy Morales, and right now he was playing third base, uh, while he was in his pro debut, as he climbed to Double A. I think it makes a lot of sense. I don't know what you think.
I think you can convince me. I think that makes sense. I personally would love to get like some sort of veteran presence
Mm-hmm.
on the team. I think that's really important. Coming back to like that identity of like what a team looks like and the feeling. I mean, you really don't have that veteran presence right
Yeah.
now on the roster. I mean, I guess you can really say like Victor Robles could be. I mean,
No,
that
Lane
is a.
Thomas is your veteran now at this point.
I guess
Lane
so.
Thomas and
But
Nick Senzel are your veterans, and Ildemaro
that's true.
Vargas. Vargas is there.
I'm talking about a little bit older veteran here. I think having a little bit a veteran presence would be really helpful at some spot here. I know that you probably would have to probably send somebody down to AAA, but I think that it might be a good idea to just get one veteran presence in there to help these young kids really further develop, just not only their skills, but also being involved, being part of a major league baseball team, how to act. And I think that, and how to, carry themselves on the field, off the field, in the clubhouse, all those, those minor things. And I think, you saw that veteran presence kind of have a great effect back in 2012 or in that in the 2010 the 2010 era when Jason Worth signed with the team and you kind of started moving away from prospects into signing that better having that veteran presence, and it really netted really well for the team. So I really would love to Rizzo to go out and get that veteran presence, that bat that can do a lot of things, can be a utility player, can be that DH if needed. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but like I think you're right though. They're like every position is kind of like nicely firm together. So finding that person might be a little bit harder than we all wish.
Yeah, I mean, is there somebody in mind that you had to be that veteran? I know you pushed for one particular player at that first base position a lot.
Wow,
So
you're really good at this, Hayden. You know how to tee things up really well. No, I really think Rice Hoskins would be like, is that person? Is that really great person? I also, with I know that there was just somebody signed it that just got released by the Braves. I think he would probably be good. I'm trying to pull up the
Matt
Nats
Carpenter.
report. Matt Carpenter, yes, exactly. I know that there was a little bit of a blowback on, on social media, on X. People are saying no about it. I think it would be a good addition, even though, he did have a down year last year, and there's probably a reason why the Braves didn't sign him long term or and released him. But like I think 1 year prove me contracts really do work, or could be beneficial. And worst comes to worst, like if he's doing really well in come around trade deadline, he can be flipped for a prospect or two. So I say you take a chance on like a Matt Carpenter or Hoskins. I mean, at this point, what do you have to lose? I mean, honestly, you have all this cap space, you have all the salary space. Go out and get somebody that can fill that veteran void, and see if they could be flipped mid season if necessary.
Yeah, no, there's one player I have in mind because
Oh, love to hear it.
when you talk about veteran presence, I think there's one free agent that really comes to mind for me. Somebody who I
Okay.
personally credit for lifting the Mariners. I mean, obviously he didn't hit the home run that sent them to the
Hmm.
playoffs, but really was a big boost because I used to watch a lot of Mariners baseball, especially as they were trying to break that drought. Uh, Carlos Santana was huge for that team, and he is such a huge clubhouse guy. You saw it with the Brewers last year. He's just such a great leader. I think if we are gonna get somebody like that, I think he's a really great fit. Partially because the Nationals could not hit a fastball last year, and Carlos Santana was one of the best fastball hitters in Major League Baseball last year. So, and it's not Reese Hoskins, who's like this giant bat who you can plug into the middle of your order and,
Mm,
count for 30 something home runs and, be a stalwart, first baseman
yeah.
for the Nets. But I mean, I think he's, it's within the margin. But I think he's an improvement of Dom Smith. He's Dom Smith, but he does everything
Okay.
better than Dom Smith. He plays great defense at first. He gets on base a ton. Hits for, he hits those fastballs, so he hits for decent power. But I mean, he's not going to hit 20, 30 home runs, but he's gonna be a adequate power bat. I think he's more like a Heimer Candelario type power bat than a Reese
Okay.
Hoskins. Uh, I think he's a really great fit. When I was looking, when we were doing that practical wish list uh, article, that was when
Hmm.
I saw everybody was putting position players. I was like, oh, I can't do Santana now. I got to go pick a pitcher. Uh, but I think he's probably one of the best fits for clubs like the Nationals. And I mean, you kind of saw him take that role with the Pirates last year, so you kind of know he's willing to kind of go to a not so, not a top team in their division type
Hmm.
guy.
Well, he did have 23 home runs last year,
Yeah.
according to Baseball Reference. So,
I mean,
I mean,
yeah, he's not like, he doesn't have the raw
yeah.
power that Hoskins has.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
talking about a couple grades different on that tool, but he's still a
Yeah.
threat.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's a good position player, solid player. Can play first baseman and catcher. I mean, worst comes to worst, you
No,
need a you
no,
need
no. He's not catching. He's not catching.
a
No.
first baseman only.
Yeah, no, yeah, I don't think he's caught for a while. And I mean, the Nats have so many catchers. Why would you need?
True.
They've
That's
got
true.
what, four on the 40 man? Yeah, four.
That's a lot of catchers on a 40-man roster.
Oh, you got to look at the Giants' 40 man roster. That thing is a mess. They have 8 outfielders and 4 catchers.
Here's my question for you, and you when we were talking about outfielders, do you think Rizzo went too heavy on outfielders with the prospects that he went out and got out
No,
of all these trades?
I
Okay,
think you take the best available talent, uh,
okay.
especially when I mean I I have a hard time imagining a path where Elijah Green makes it to the major league level and is a valuable like a regular on a
Mm-hmm.
major league team. Uh, Obviously he can. If anybody can do it, it's Elijah Green. He has a great work ethic, is crazy, insanely talented. But when you look at the history of players who strike out at the rate that he struck out in low A,
Mm-hmm.
there isn't a precedent really. And he could be the the unicorn essentially. And with the injuries Robert Hassel had and the production he had, there's no guarantee in baseball what a player will do at the big league level either. They could crush it in the minors and then come to the majors and they're just awful. Like
Mm-hmm.
you just get the best talent you can and then you worry about filling those holes with the trades and with, free agency essentially.
Okay. I just call it. I think I agree with you 100% about getting the best players available. However, I kind of think about it long term, where you're going to start to have a a backup, or too many players in the outfield, and you're not going to be able. You can only field three outfielders, right,
Mhm.
at a time. I mean, again, this is the reality of baseball. So I kind of feel maybe Rizzo could have maybe diversified a little bit more on the trade, on the prospects, and
Yeah.
kind of like figure out the okay, we need a first baseman. I mean, that's a huge part player that hasn't been addressed. Ever since Zimmerman left, there really hasn't been that really good first baseman.
I
I
mean,
mean, I'm
even when he
saying
was hurt too, so like, I mean, you had
yeah,
Matt Adams playing there, and Matt Adams is a great ball
yeah,
player. That's not a guy you want playing every day on a contender. Uh,
yeah,
yeah, no, I mean, that's that's the tricky part as a GM.
yeah.
I think, I think the Nats are in a good spot though. I
Okay.
think, especially in the outfield, like Jeremy and I think on it was like the last episode, or episode before that. We're like 90% sure Lane Thomas gets traded this year.
Hmm.
This calendar year, or I guess not this 2024 calendar year, either at the
Yeah.
trade
We're
deadline or after the season. Uh, but I don't think he's going to be a national in 2025. I mean, I think, we were really setting it up for Juan Soto to come back to the Nats. I think that's a very real possibility. Like you trade Lane Thomas and then you just bring in Juan Soto and you're set. I mean, Dylan Cruz, Juan Soto, James Wood, assuming that those two live up to the hype that they are, like that's the craziest outfield. That's murderer's row right there, and that's just an outfield. And then you got C.J. Abrams. I really believe Luis Garcia is still great. You got Ruiz still. Like
mhm.
the Nats are in good shape.
Juan Soto, I would be really excited about Juan Soto coming back to the Nats. Honestly, like that's the one player out of all the trades that happened right around, right after the World Series, and then obviously after Trey Turner. I mean, I was sad with Trey Turner and Max leaving, but Juan Soto, my heart crushed for sure. It was
Hmm.
like it was the one of the worst days of my life when he left. I really hope that he would come back. You never know, right? He
Yeah,
said that
never
he
know.
wants to play. I mean, he wants to hit free agency. So
Yeah, I
that
mean,
shouldn't
it worked out
or
great
is
for him. They can just offer him another $440 million contract. It's he's set. He made 50 million in ARB, but then I mean, there you go. That's 500 million essentially in his
oh,
career, which pretty good.
yeah. I would listen. I would take it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I
I think
would
we
take.
all would take $440 million to play baseball. I don't think. I just had to check the room, make sure there were no scouts. I don't think that's happening anytime soon. Uh, I guess before we kind of segue to specific players on the major league roster, is there a particular
Mhm.
prospect, because we've been talking about prospect, is there a particular prospect, not, not one of those big two, Dylan Cruz, James Wood, that you're really excited to watch in the minors this year?
Mm. Jacob Alu is somebody that I really want to pay a little bit more attention to. I want to hit Rochester like for a couple of games and really watch a lot of those prospects. Alu is definitely somebody that I'm really interested in seeing. Darren Baker is definitely somebody that I'm really interested in seeing and seeing his progression. I would love to see him at, talking about making the major league level roster. I would love to see him in September call ups for sure to see how he progresses. Not, I mean, at the plate, but also defense and then base running. Can we consider Jackson Rutledge? What do we consider him now? Like, do we consider
He's
him a prospect,
Is he
mid
a
prospect?
prospect? I mean, he's still a prospect. I think. I'm trying to remember. Do you remember when he debuted? He debuted in September, right? Yeah, so he
Yeah.
still carries
Hmm.
prospect status. I think he's going to be on the major league roster. I think.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I would be shocked, but I mean, when you look at who's on the roster, unless you're moving Williams to the bullpen,
Hmm.
there's not really a whole lot of room for starting pitchers. You can
Yeah.
only really have five. I doubt they go to a six-man rotation. Uh, so that's something I'm a little worried about.
I would like to see. I want to see how well Rutledge does coming out of spring training, having him the off season to really further his development, and then also to see how he takes the learnings that he did at the end of the season, at the major league level, and see how he performs. Coming, I mean, in the first couple of days or games if he plays at the major league level right out of opening day. I'm kind of excited to see his stuff again and see how he pitches. He's real. I love watching him pitch. Like I remember going down to Fredericksburg quite a bit and seeing him, and he was electric. I really enjoyed his mechanics really well. His mechanics.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the thing I'm most excited to see is how what adjustments he makes.
Yeah.
Because I mean he has insane stuff, but it's the thing, especially in that first couple starts where he wasn't getting the whiffs you would expect with somebody with
Mm.
the stuff that he has. Uh,
Yeah.
so I'm excited to see what kind of adjustments he makes to kind of uh, get those whiffs. That on paper you would think he would be getting.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I'm kind of excited to see him take a step forward for. The person I'm most excited to see, because I gotta talk about my guy.
Yeah.
I really want to see Trey Lipscomb.
Oh.
I mean,
Okay.
we're talking about Defender of the Year in the Nat system. I think he won a Gold Glove in the minors as well. Uh, I mean, a guy who kind of can play anywhere in the infield. That's just if he can hit just a little bit, he's on the big league roster at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if somebody goes down. I think probably not this year, next year, because Nunez is taking the role that Lipscomb kind of would. Uh, but I think they can kind of. I mean, the Nats have a lot of really athletic defenders now with Kevin Made, uh, Nasim Nunez, Lipscomb, uh, and Armando Cruz. I mean, that's some of the better defenders in minor league baseball. Uh,
It's a nice problem to have.
Yeah, no, I mean, and even if like they never make the majors, that's a nice little person to have on your roster at the
Mhm.
minor league level. Just have a guy who can just field real well. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, is there any now on the major league side? I guess kind of what are your for the players? What are kind of your
Hmm.
expectations for I guess that position player group, the pitching group?
I like to see how CJ Abrams does, like his development further. I think that cutting down on the errors in the field is going to be really really important for him this year, and to see if he can really take that step up and become live up to the hype for the trade that he was brought over for. I'm kind of interested in seeing what the Nats are going to do with Carter Kieboom. I know it
He's getting
seems like
DFA'd. He's getting
yeah,
DFA'd.
I kind of feel like that's going to happen,
There's
but
no room.
Yeah, it's so sad, honestly. Like, he came in with such hype and such, promise, and he was supposed to be the guy that replaced Rendon, and that's what they kind of were billing. And I'm kind of interested in seeing how, what just happens with some of the older, I'll use older in quotes, the older. Wow, I didn't know that Slack can do that. Interesting. Um, whatchamacallit? Older players and see how they kind of like mesh with the newer players. Obviously, I'm talking about like the Corbin or we were talking about Robles a little bit. Carter Kieboom obviously, fits in that group to see, how do they kind of mesh into the way that the Nats are now built? Do they just like DF, release them and just say, think? I mean, obviously not Corbin because that's a different situation, but with Robles and Kieboom, like, what do you do with those two players?
I mean, I think it's probably in the best interest for Kieboom to just get a fresh
Yeah.
start in a different organization. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I hope he has all the success in the world. Seems like a really great dude. Uh, just injuries and just lack of consistent opportunity to really
Yeah.
just kind of figure out how to play in the major leagues. Hopefully he can go play with the A's or something and get a good run time.
The
No, I mean
Vegas A's.
the
I'm
Vegas
calling them
A's.
the
Uh,
Vegas Aces.
I don't know what they're doing with that. I yeah, I don't know.
Another subject for another podcast.
Hmm?
A subject for another podcast, right?
Yeah, I mean, I could sit here and talk about an hour about the A's and just what a mess that is. Uh, I think you're right a lot with CJ. If he can take that step forward defensively, I mean, we saw that in
Hmm.
the second half. But having a full year and further growth will be huge. Because I mean, if he can be a league average defensive shortstop, the value that brings is just immense. A lot of the
Hmm.
things was I mean, I think we could potentially see a Bobby Witt Jr. type growth where I don't know. I mean, I read numbers all day. In which first season he was just not making those easy plays, really brung down his value from like a WAR standpoint. Uh, and then he just cleaned it up and started making the easy plays and then offensively things started to click, and I mean he was one of the top players in the American League last year. And I
Hmm.
think we could truly see that with CJ, where feeling more comfortable, stealing more bases, playing cleaner defense, and then getting into that power a little bit more because I mean he's still super young. I think there's a potential for a really amazing player. Uh,
Yeah.
and then you have James Wood coming up, who came over in the same trade, and Mackenzie Gore is already in the big leagues, and then they bring back Juan Soto, and then it's they have everybody from the trade. Uh, no, I think that's going to be the big thing. I'm really curious to see how they construct this roster. Uh, I mean, roster construction is my favorite thing about baseball. Uh,
Mm.
and so seeing how the Nationals handle all these prospects, and there's just so many players who are kind of on that same tier. I think I'm really interested to see that. Uh, have I told you what I think the Nats should do with their rotation?
No, I would love to
Okay,
hear.
okay. So we have your three young starting pitchers, right? You have Gore, Gray, Irvin, Jackson
Okay.
Rutledge. You DFA Corbin, and then you have Trevor Williams and Juan piggyback off of each other for that fifth start.
Okay.
Like
Where do you? But
two.
what happens?
Hmm?
What happens with Cavalli when he comes back? Where do you place him?
I mean, I think then he takes over for Williams and Adon.
Okay.
But I mean, when you look at Adon's first time through the order splits, and we've seen what Williams can do in his major league career in shorter stints. I think that just makes sense. I don't think Corbin's gonna be any different than he was the past what 4 seasons now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's another. I don't think he's having some renaissance curve season or anything like that. Just kind of
Done.
key boom. It's just best part our separate ways and just do that. And have like Robert Garcia or I'm trying to think of another like Weems kind of be that like if one of them can't have that clean inning to get to the other guy, you have them come in,
Mhm.
fireman it, and then other guy comes in at the top of the new inning.
I like that. That sounds like a fun rotation.
I mean, it's and then you get all the prospects in, because what sense does it make in having Rutledge throw in AAA, which is what he's projected to do according to Roster Resource right now?
Mm-hmm.
Like that doesn't make sense.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I think we were just talking about, like having a lot of these prospects at a major league, almost at a major league level or near a major league level, is a blessing and a curse, right? Because then
Mhm.
you have to deal with, okay, where do you fit all this great talent that you get, and how do you maximize the talent and still compete and still do all the things that you want to achieve as an organization. So yeah, I mean, I think 2024, I mean, going back to like the theme of the pot, our conversation today is like, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be interesting to see, and there will be definitely some growing pains happening for the Nats. And but I'm really hoping that Nats Park becomes electric again. Like that's like my big thing, right?
Mhm.
Like from a bigger, like, yeah, players are fun, but I think having a really great vibe again at the ballpark and having people, you know, get excited again about Nats baseball is good for the city. It's good
Mhm.
for the team. It's good for everybody. And I mean, it's definitely great for the players because they feed off of that energy and the fans feed off of it. So, that's kind of, my take on things.
Yeah, no, I mean having those prospects up is going to be great for just fan engagement, especially if
Yeah.
they start winning. And I mean, yeah, no,
Yes.
you're absolutely right with that whole like blessing and a curse. I mean, if you look at like what the Reds are going through right now, they have like 7 infielders who are all major league ready and are all like under the age of like 26. No, India's 27. My bad. And then they signed
Hmm.
Heimer Candelario, which doesn't make any sense. But they just have so many infielders, and it's you know, I'm looking forward to the days where the Nationals have that problem.
Yes, absolutely. Infield, and then outfield.
Well, I mean, just every position, just overwhelmed
Yeah,
with talent. There's not room for anybody. Got to trade them all away for better talent.
that's true. Listen, that's a recipe for success. We've seen
Hmm.
it happen.
Is there, I guess, who's your player that you're most excited to watch at the major league level in 2024?
Well, definitely, as I mentioned, CJ definitely is up there. Um, ooh, I'm still holding out for like a power bat veteran guy that's just like, I'm gonna keep on. You're gonna scream for the rooftops about Juan Soto coming back to the team. I'm gonna scream just for some veteran guy, that player to be named later. Kind of, just that excitement of a nice fresh person that sells the jerseys. I know that's definitely not happening. The big.
2025, it what does. I just don't think
Okay.
like with what it's a very thin free agent class. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think because I mean we could have an hour long discussion about why I think Cody Bellinger does not deserve a $200 million contract this year. Uh, I and that's like the best position player outside of Matt Chapman, which the Nats have four. We're doing so good.
Yes, we're doing
We were
live
doing so
video.
good. Uh, yeah, I mean it's the only other position player who's on that tier is
Mm-hmm.
like Matt Chapman, and the Nats have
Yeah,
like a bajillion third base prospects, so it doesn't make sense.
correct. So let's see. Um, excitement. I mean, Lane Thomas definitely always fun to watch. He seems to be a really great guy to play. I mean, his play is fun. I'm interested. We really haven't talked about the catching position, Kabert Ruiz. I would love to see him really improve behind the plate, whether it's the frame rate, stealing. I think that is definitely something should be we should be excited about and really see the development. I mean, they did give him a really big contract, so he has to
I mean, not
start
that
really
big. I mean, it's a long contract. I wouldn't say it's a
long
big contract.
long contract. Um but I definitely would love. We didn't talk about the catching position. We kind of talked about other all the other spots, but I would love to see him kind of again take that step forward and really improve. So catching Ruiz, I would say Ruiz is definitely one of those the newer players, but kind of now becoming more established
He's the
in the
veteran.
Nats. He's the. I didn't want to. You said it, not me. The veteran.
I guess kind of same realm there.
Hmm.
Who do you think's the backup catcher? And I guess is the person you think is the person you also want to be the backup catcher? Do you favor one or the other?
Um, I guess I'm indifferent. I really. I mean, I want a good competition. Like I think I want, as you just said, like every position to have to be oozing with talent. So whoever's the best, the best suited is if it's Malaz. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Milas Malaz,
Mi-
Milas I think is.
Milas.
Here I'll look it up.
Milas. You know, seems to be, a good player, performed really well at AAA. So if he could make the roster, good for him. And again, really, again, having that every position just oozing with talent, is really, you know, I would say the goal. I mean, I don't really have a dog in the race in that one.
Yeah,
What do you
no,
think?
I like Milas's glove. Uh,
Okay.
and just having that to pair with Ruiz. That and I just love players who just get on base, and he does that. He
Mm,
walks a lot. I really do think the Riley Adams at first base experiment needs to happen. Uh,
okay.
but that's just there's a bunch of players who just need to go play first base. Because I mean, I don't know how much we can count on Joey Meneses' knee being
Yeah.
the actual problem, because that could have very
Hmm.
well been the issue last year. But you know, the production he had in 2023, if he does that again in 2024, he's not going to be here in 2025. Uh,
Hmm.
and so for him to have a sustained major league career, he really needs to turn it around. I think that's something to keep an eye on. I think Luis Garcia though. That's my player to watch. That's the person I'm excited to watch. I think he is like so close to just clicking and everything works. Uh, where he improved pretty much everything you want to see him improve. It's just he wasn't getting the results. I really want to see him continue to do that and then get those results.
Hmm.
I think that's probably the best case scenario for the Nats in like when we talk about outlook in 2024, like obvious or 2025, having the prospects come up and obviously perform well. But I think if Luis Garcia cements himself as the everyday second baseman for the Washington Nationals or everyday second baseman against righties, right-handed pitching, at least cementing himself in the major leagues as a part of a contending team, I think is huge. And I hope he can do that.
What do you think he needs to do to show Martinez that?
I mean, I think it really is just the results and just
Hmm.
putting in that focus day in and day out. Obviously, the quote about facing Scherzer uh, did not look good considering the year he was having. Uh, but just coming in, and just kind of putting in the work. I mean, he's a guy who can. I mean, obviously he's not going to be stealing bases like C.J. Abrams, but he'll steal a few bags, and I mean, if he puts in the work because I mean he could be a genuine power threat with the way he's improved his uh, approach, where he stopped chasing, he was whiffing less, like the all the little knobs were turned the right way. It just wasn't getting the right output, and I think that's we're just
Hmm.
waiting for that output to happen. Which I mean,
Okay.
sometimes it
I
does have all the right knobs and the output never comes, but I'd rather have another year to see if it does.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that him you being excited about him. He seems to be a good player.
Yeah, no, I mean I think the defense is then also the big thing where it's
Yeah.
got to clean that up a little bit too. But who doesn't have flaws?
I know one
Stone
person
Garrett.
that doesn't have. Exactly.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? 2024
No,
Nationals? All
no.
right.
Do you? You have
No,
anything else, Jared? Hayden?
no.
I'm gonna call you Jeremy from now on.
It's okay. That works.
You look like you're like a good Jeremy. Like I feel like if you had like a second name, like it would be like Jeremy.
I don't know. Uh, I usually when people talk about me, they use a different J name. I get the
Okay.
comparison to Jesus a little bit more than a
Okay.
Jeremy, but that works too.
Okay. Well, let's call you Jeremy too from now
Okay,
on.
sounds good. I'll change my name on Slack
Okay. What you call before we go? Any New Year's resolutions for the Nats?
for the Nats.
Yeah.
Platoon more.
Ooh.
I hated seeing Dom Smith in the lineup against lefties. Uh, Obviously Dom Smith isn't in the lineup anymore.
Hmm.
But it's okay to platoon guys. All right, like it's okay. It's not gonna hurt. I'd really like to see them platoon a little bit more, but that's just me. How about you?
um, I'm gonna do team identity.
Gotta stay
That's my big.
consistent. That's your
Yeah.
identity. You're the identity guy.
Yeah. I'm the identity guy. Exactly. I'm the brand guy.
Uh huh.
Exactly. Yeah. I think. I mean. I really do think that it's time to create that identity and take the step forward that that this team needs to do and have some really cool pictures on the Washington Post, caricatures and that's exactly that is like one of my favorite things that the Washington Post ever did, or these are my favorite actually.
Yeah,
These are
I mean, it's all right. That wasn't a big deal. All right, who cares about some piece of metal? Uh, According to the
exactly.
commissioner. Uh,
No. Awesome. Hayden, thank you so much for inviting me on. I
Thank you for
appreciate it.
joining. Very much
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Awesome.
All right. Well, good night, everybody. Thank you for listening to In the Clubhouse. Don't forget to go to www.thenatsreport.com/Hayden to get that 7-day free trial. Got to use that
Mm.
coupon, guys. Come on, got to get that 7-day free trial. I hope you all have a great rest of your night. Have a good New Year. Have a good holidays. And stay safe. And thank you.